At the family dinner, my daughter-in-law poured wine for her mother and ordered me to wash the dishes. While everyone else talked and laughed, I got up quietly. Minutes later, they noticed I was no longer in the kitchen, and for the first time, the silence was louder than the laughter. That night, I should have just kept my mouth shut. I should have smiled like I always do, nodded my head, and continued being the shadow everyone expected me to be. But something inside me broke when I heard those words come out of my daughter-in-law's mouth. "Mother-in-law, please do the dishes. Mom and I are talking." She did not yell. She did not have to. Her voice was soft, almost polite, like someone asking the hired help for a favor. And there I was, Eleanor Grant, 67 years old, sitting at the table in my own house, surrounded by laughter that did not include me, by toasts that did not mention me, watching my son Michael fill Chloe's glass over and over while mine remained empty. The sound of the wine pouring into the glass became unbearable. Every drop was a mockery, every laugh from Chloe a silent stab. I got up without a word. I gathered the plates stained with sauce, the crumpled napkins, the scraps of food that others had enjoyed. I walked to the kitchen with trembling hands, feeling the weight of each plate turn into the weight of years of small humiliations, of cutting words disguised as courtesy, of fake smiles that never reached that woman's eyes. I turned on the faucet. The water hit the dirty china hard, splashing my hands, my apron, my shattered pride. And as the water ran, something else began to run inside me, a promise. Never, never again would I stay silent. But let me tell you how I got here, because this story does not start with a toast. It starts much earlier, when I still believed that a mother's love could cure everything, that kindness would always be rewarded, that giving my entire life for my son would be enough to earn his respect. How wrong I was. The house where I was washing those dishes, this house with the kitchen tiles I picked out myself, with walls I painted by hand with my late husband, Arthur, that house we built brick by brick with the sweat of 40 years of work, no longer felt like mine. Ever since Chloe crossed the threshold as my daughter-in-law 3 years ago, everything changed. At first, it was small things. A disdainful look when I made coffee, an exaggerated sigh if I turned on the television, poisonous comments disguised as concern. "Eleanor, do not you think you should rest more? At your age, all this running around is not good." Translation: "You are in the way. Michael, your mom left the kitchen messy again. I will take care of it, do not worry." Translation: "She is a burden. Oh, Eleanor, what a pretty blouse. Is that one from when you were young?" Translation: "You are old and out of style." Every phrase was a drop of poison, and like a fool, I swallowed them all. I smiled. I nodded. I apologized for taking up space in my own home. That night of the toast was different because I finally saw what I had been denying for so long. To Chloe, I was not a mother-in-law. I was an obstacle, a piece of old furniture that had to be tolerated until she could get rid of it. As I scrubbed the plates with contained fury, I could hear their laughter from the dining room. Chloe was telling an anecdote from her job, and everyone was laughing, Michael loudest of all. My son, my only son, the boy I held in my arms, the one I nursed through fevers, the man I raised alone after Arthur died that man no longer saw me. Chloe had done a perfect job, slow, calculated, poisoning every word, every gesture, until she turned me into a ghost in my own life. But that night, with my hands deep in soapy water, my eyes burning with tears I refused to shed, I made a decision. I was not going to scream. I was not going to beg. I was not going to plead for scraps of respect. I was going to observe. I was going to listen. I was going to remember every detail, every humiliation, every lie, and when the right time came, I was going to act. Because a woman who has built a house with her own hands can also defend it, and I was tired of washing dishes for people who saw me as trash. I dried my hands on the dish towel. I took a deep breath, and I returned to the dining room with a calm, almost serene smile. "Does anyone want more coffee?" I asked in a soft voice. Chloe did not even look at me. "No, Eleanor. You can go to bed if you are tired." I nodded. I went to my room. But not to rest, to plan. Because war is not always won with shouting. Sometimes Silence is the most powerful weapon. And if you have made it this far, if something in this story made you feel a knot in your chest, I ask you to subscribe to the channel. Because what comes next will make you understand why sometimes forgiveness is not enough. Sometimes justice has to arrive with clean but firm hands. I could not sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed, looking at the walls of my room as if seeing them for the first time in years. Walls I had painted myself, a soft sky blue, because Arthur used to say that color reminded him of me. Calm, but deep. Arthur. How I missed him in moments like this. He never would have allowed me to be treated this way. He, with his gravelly voice and his big laugh, would have put anyone in their place with a single look. But Arthur had been gone for 7 years, and I had had to learn to fight my own battles. Or rather, I had forgotten how to fight them. I stood up slowly, feeling my knees crackle with the effort. 67 years is a heavy load when you have lived them working from sunup to sundown. I opened the drawer of my dresser and pulled out an old metal box. Inside, I kept old photographs, yellowed receipts, documents I had not looked at in years. The first photo I found broke my heart. Arthur and I, young, standing in front of an empty plot of land. I was 27, he was 32, both of us in modest clothes, but with eyes shining with hope. In my hands, I held a crumpled piece of paper, the deed to the land we had just bought. That piece of land was all we had, and we paid for it with pure sacrifice. I remember the day we signed. Arthur worked at the auto plant, 12-hour shifts that left him exhausted and with calloused hands. I did alterations from home, taking any job I could get: prom dresses, school uniforms, mending clothes. My fingers would bleed some nights from so much needlework, but we did not care. We had a dream to build our own house, and brick by brick, we made it a reality. On weekends, Arthur mixed the cement while I carried buckets of water. My friends told me I was crazy, that a woman should not be doing that kind of work, but I ignored them. That house was going to be ours, and I was going to put every drop of sweat necessary into it. It took us 5 years to finish it. 5 years of getting up before dawn, of sacrificing outings and meals out, of saving every dollar as if it were our last. When we finally laid the last tile on the living room floor, Arthur picked me up in his arms and spun me around like I was a little girl. "We did it, Ellie," he said. "This house is ours, nobody else's." And it was, until it was not. I put the photograph away and pulled out another paper from the box, the deed to the house. But it was no longer in my name or Arthur's. It was in the name of Michael Grant, my son. The lump in my throat tightened so much I had to breathe deeply to keep from choking. It had been my decision. After Arthur died from a sudden heart attack 7 years ago, I was left alone with the house and a small pension. Michael was already married to his first wife, Megan, a good woman who treated me kindly. They had my granddaughter, Maya, who was just 10 years old then. One day, Michael came to visit me, looking worried. "Mom, I have been thinking. If something happens to you, this house is going to be a legal mess. The paperwork is complicated, the taxes. Megan and I think it would be better if you put the house in my name now. That way, when you are gone, Maya and we do not have to go through all that probate headache. You can live here your whole life, that is not even a question, but legally it would be safer." He told me with such sweetness, with such logic, that I did not hesitate for a second. I signed the papers at the lawyer's office without even reading them closely. After all, he was my son, my blood. What could go wrong? How naive I was. 2 years later, Megan died in a car accident. It was devastating for all of us, especially for Maya, who lost her mother at 12. Michael fell into a deep depression. I temporarily moved in with them to help care for the girl, to cook, to keep the house from feeling so empty. And then Chloe arrived. He met her at work, at one of those corporate training sessions. Chloe was an HR supervisor, elegant, with perfect nails and a vocabulary full of corporate buzzwords I did not understand. From the first day I saw her, I knew something was off, but Michael was dazzled. After 2 years of mourning, he was finally smiling again. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted to believe Chloe would fill that void. I did not imagine that void would end up swallowing me. They got married within a year of meeting. A simple, almost intimate wedding. Chloe insisted it be just close family, and somehow I ended up feeling like just another guest, not the mother of the groom. After the wedding, Michael asked me to go back to my house. "Mom, Chloe and I need our space. Maya is older now. She does not need as much care. You have your house. You can be comfortable there." My house, which now had his name on the deed. I went back, and from then on, everything changed. Chloe started visiting me to see how I was, always with that porcelain smile, always with comments disguised as kindness. "Eleanor, this house is awfully big for you alone. Are not you scared? Eleanor, I saw the roof has a leak. That must be expensive to fix, right? Michael told me your social security check does not cover much. If you need help, just tell us." Every visit was an inspection, every comment a seed of insecurity planted in my mind. And like a fool, I started to believe her. I started to feel that the house was indeed too big, that I was a burden who could not maintain it alone. Until that night, in front of the kitchen sink, washing the dishes while they toasted, I understood the truth. Chloe was not worried about me. She was measuring, calculating, waiting for the precise moment to take what Arthur and I had built with our own hands. I put the deed back in the box and slammed the drawer shut. Arthur had taught me something important when we built this house. The foundation is the most important thing. If the foundation is solid, the house can withstand any storm. And I still had a foundation. I just needed to remember how to use it. If anyone had told me that a woman could dismantle your life without raising her voice, without shouting, without even showing anger, I would not have believed it. But Chloe taught me that the most lethal poison is the one administered drop by drop, with a smile. The first time I saw her was at a dinner Michael organized to introduce us. I arrived with a lemon meringue pie I had made that afternoon, the kind Michael had loved since he was a kid. I rang the doorbell of his apartment with a heart full of hope. My son had finally found someone after Megan's death. I wanted it to work. I wanted to give her a chance. Chloe opened the door. She was wearing a beige cashmere sweater, flawless dress pants, and a discreet but clearly expensive necklace. Her brown hair fell perfectly over her shoulders, every strand in place. She extended her hand with a wide smile. "Eleanor, so good to finally meet you. Michael has told me so much about you." Her handshake was firm, professional, like someone closing a business deal. I entered the apartment, and the first thing I noticed was the change. The furniture Megan had picked out was gone. Everything was minimalist now, white and gray, with abstract paintings that meant nothing. The house no longer felt like a home. It looked like the waiting room of a dentist's office. "I brought a lemon meringue pie," I said, lifting the container proudly. Chloe looked at the pie as if I had offered her a piece of cardboard. "Oh, how sweet. But Eleanor, Michael and I are watching our diet. No refined sugar. I am sure you understand. But thank you anyway." She took the pie from my hands and set it on the kitchen counter, far from the table where the plates were already set. Quinoa salad with salmon. Nothing I recognized. Michael came out of the room with Maya behind him. My granddaughter, 14 years old at the time, ran to me and hugged me tightly. "Grandma, I missed you." I hugged her back, feeling her thin body tremble slightly. Something in her eyes told me not all was well, but before I could ask, Chloe interrupted. "Maya, honey, go wash your hands. Dinner is ready." It was not a suggestion. It was an order, and Maya obeyed without a word, lowering her head. Dinner was uncomfortable. Chloe controlled the conversation like an orchestra conductor. She talked about her job, her accomplishments, how she had implemented a new system at the company that had saved thousands of dollars. Michael watched her, spellbound, nodding at every word as if he were listening to a sermon. I tried to join in. "Michael, how is your job at the construction firm?" Before he could answer, Chloe replied for him. "Michael is considering a change in departments. I have told him that with his profile, he could aim for something better." "Right, honey?" Michael nodded. "Chloe is right. I have been too comfortable in the same position. Comfortable, as if stability was a bad thing. As if the 20 years he had spent at that company meant nothing." Maya was eating in silence, pushing the quinoa from one side of her plate to the other. "Maya, sweetheart, do not you like the dinner?" I asked gently. The girl opened her mouth, but again, Chloe cut her off. Maya is learning to eat healthy. It is tough at first, but it is for her own good. Teenagers tend to gain weight if they are not careful. I looked at my granddaughter. She did not have an ounce of fat on her. She was thin, almost fragile, but I said nothing. I did not want to ruin the dinner. That was my first mistake, staying quiet. The following months were a slow but steady transformation. Chloe started visiting me often, always with kind excuses. "Eleanor, I was in the neighborhood and brought some fruit. Can I stop in?" At first I was happy. I thought she was making an effort to get to know me. But every visit was really an inspection. She would come in and look at everything with those hawk eyes. She checked the refrigerator to see if I was missing anything. She opened the cabinets to help me organize. She checked the windows because she had heard the weather was getting bad. One day she arrived with her mother, Brenda, a woman my age but one who had clearly had some work done. Too much makeup, too much jewelry, too much arrogance in every gesture. "Eleanor, Chloe has told me so much about you. What a nice house you have." "Nice house," she said, nice, not beautiful, like someone praising an old vase at a garage sale. The two of them toured every corner while I made coffee. I heard them whispering in the living room. "It is bigger than I thought." "I told you. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and the location is excellent." They were talking about my house as if it were a property for sale. When I served them coffee, Brenda smiled with that bright red mouth. "Eleanor, it must be so tiring to keep all this clean. At our age, one just does not have the same energy." Our age. As if she and I were the same. As if I had not worked every day of my life while she was getting manicures at a salon. "I managed just fine," I replied firmly. Chloe exchanged a look with her mother, a look that said, "Just you wait." The small humiliations became routine. Every time I visited Michael, Chloe found a way to make me feel out of place. "Eleanor, I notice that is imported." "Oh, Eleanor, that soap is for delicate hands. Better use the one in the guest bathroom. Do not go into the study. Michael is working." Well, actually, he was watching television, but it is his private space. His private space. In the house where I had cared for him when he had chickenpox. In the apartment he paid for with a stable salary, thanks to the fact that I never charged him rent when he lived with me for years. But the comments were not the worst part. It was watching Michael change. My son, who used to call me every 2 days just to ask how I was, now took weeks to answer my texts. When he did, his replies were cold, curt. "Mom, I am busy." "Mom, Chloe and I have plans." "Mom, do you need something again?" Chloe had reprogrammed him, as if she had gone into his mind and erased 20 years of history, of hugs, of sacrifices I made for him. One afternoon, I gathered my courage and confronted him. I went to his house without calling first, something Chloe hated. "Michael, I need to talk to you, alone." Chloe appeared immediately, as if she had radar. "Eleanor, is something wrong? Are you okay? You look upset." "I am fine. I just want to talk to my son." Michael looked at me uncomfortably. "Mom, Chloe is my wife. Whatever you say to me, you can say to her." There it was, the proof that I had lost him. I swallowed hard. "I feel like I am not part of your life anymore." Silence. Michael looked away. Chloe put her hand on his shoulder, as if marking territory. "Eleanor, nobody said that. It is just that Michael and I are building our life together. You have your life. It is natural for everyone to have their own space." Space. That word again. I left there with my heart in pieces, and as I walked back to my house, I understood something terrible. Chloe did not want me out of Michael's life. She wanted me out of the house that had his name on the deed, and she had started her plan the day she met him. There is something you learn when you get to my age. People do not take everything from you at once. First, they ask to borrow. Then, they ask for a small favor, and by the time you realize it, they have already emptied your pockets and are still making you feel guilty for not giving more. That is exactly what Chloe did. It all started 3 months after that painful conversation with Michael. I was still living in my house, trying to keep the distance they seemed to need so badly. I did not visit unannounced anymore. I did not call as much. I swallowed the loneliness like bitter medicine. One Tuesday afternoon, Michael came to my house, alone, without Chloe. I was surprised to see him. It had been weeks. "Mom, can I come in?" "Of course, son. This is your house." The words came out automatically, though legally, it was not a lie anymore. It was his house. He came in and sat on the living room sofa, the same one his father used to watch football on Sundays. He looked tired. He had dark circles under his eyes and had lost weight. "Are you okay, Michael?" He sighed deeply. "Mom, I need to ask you for something, and I do not want you to get mad." My heart sped up. When someone starts like that, it is because what comes next is going to hurt. "Tell me." "Chloe and I are going through a rough patch financially. She had to lend her mom money for surgery, and I had some unexpected car expenses. Everything hit us at once, and this month we just cannot make ends meet." I stayed quiet, waiting. "We need $1,500 just for this month. I swear I will pay you back in 2 weeks." $1,500, more than half of my monthly income. "Michael, I live on $2,500 a month. If I give you that, what am I going to pay my bills with?" "Mom, please, it is temporary. Besides, you do not have that many expenses. You do not pay rent, your utilities are low, you do not have a car. We have many more obligations. You do not pay rent." As if living in my own house was a privilege and not the result of 40 years of work. "And Chloe? She earns good money, does not she?" Michael clenched his jaw. "Her salary goes to other things." "I am not asking you to give us anything, Mom. It is a loan." The word loan sounded so official, so serious, as if they really intended to pay it back. But he was my son, my only son, the boy I raised alone after Arthur died. How could I say no? "All right, let me get the money tomorrow." Michael stood up and gave me a quick, hurried hug. "Thanks, Mom. I knew I could count on you." He left before I could even finish making the coffee I had offered him. The next day, I went to the bank and withdrew the $1,500. I felt the teller look at me with pity when he saw my account balance drop to almost nothing. I wired the money to Michael through the bank's app. His reply was a simple, "Got it, thanks." Not an "I love you," not a "you do not know what this means to me." Just got it, as if it were a utility payment. The 2 weeks passed, then a month, then 2. The money never came back, but the requests did. A month later, Chloe called me directly, the first time in a while. "Eleanor, good morning. How have you been?" "Fine, Chloe." "And you?" "That is why I am calling. Look, I did not want to worry you, but Michael had a problem at work. They cut his salary by 20%. We are tight, very tight. I waited for the request. We need you to help us with $1,000 this month. I know we just asked recently, but believe me, we would not do it if it were not urgent. It is just. We have to pay Maya's tuition, and if we do not pay it, she will get kicked out of school. Maya. She used my granddaughter as a shield. Chloe, I have expenses too. My income does not stretch to. Eleanor, please. She is your granddaughter. Are you really going to let her get kicked out of school?" The guilt hit me like a ton of bricks. "Let me see what I can do." I hung up and stared at the phone. I knew this was wrong. I knew they were using me. But the image of Maya, that girl who had lost her mother, broke my heart. I transferred the $1,000. This time, Chloe did not even thank me, just left a voicemail. Received. Eleanor. What a relief. That is how 6 months went by. Every month, a new emergency. Every month, a new request. The furnace broke. The car insurance was due. Maya needed new books. We have to fix a leak. I gave them what I could, sometimes borrowing from a neighbor, sometimes dipping into my hidden savings. I was living on beans and rice, so I could help them. I stopped buying my blood pressure medication. I stopped going to the doctor. And they never ever paid back a single dollar. Until one day, scrolling through Facebook, I saw something that chilled me to the bone. Chloe had posted photos from a vacation. White sandy beaches, colorful cocktails, she and Michael smiling in expensive sunglasses. The caption said, "Cancun, finally getting this much-deserved break. Number blessed number, living our best life." My hands trembled. I felt the blood rush to my head. The world tilting. Cancun. While I was eating refried beans to save $5, They were lounging on a beach drinking margaritas with my money. I called Michael. He answered after 5 rings. Mom? Michael, I saw the photos. You told me you had no money, that Maya was going to lose her spot in school, and you are in Cancun. Silence. Mom, we paid for that with credit card points. With points? Do you take me for a fool? Mom, do not start. We had not taken a vacation in years. We needed to unplug. I needed to eat, Michael. I needed my medication. But I stopped buying them to give the money to you. Nobody asked you to do that. Those words cut me deeper than a knife. Nobody asked me? Are you really going to say that to me? Mom, if you decide to sacrifice, that is your problem. We never forced you. I hung up. Or rather, my fingers let go of the phone because I no longer had the strength to hold it. I sat on the kitchen floor, and for the first time in years I cried. I cried with rage, with helplessness, with a sadness so deep I felt I was drowning. But somewhere, in the middle of the sobs, something inside me changed. It was no longer just sadness. It was fury. A cold, calculated fury that filled me with clarity. Chloe had used me. Michael had betrayed me. And I had been complicit in my own humiliation. But that was going to end. I got up from the floor, wiped away the tears, and made a decision. I was going to start keeping track. Every dollar they had asked for, every broken promise, every lie, everything. Because when the time came to collect, and that time would come, I was going to have the exact proof of who they really were. I opened an old notebook, and on the first page I wrote, "What they owe me. $6,200. And underneath, in a firm hand, what I am going to charge them, their shame. They say you never forget the important dates. Birthdays, anniversaries, the day you got married, the day your children were born. They are dates etched on the heart like permanent scars. I was born on March 14th. Arthur used to say it was the day spring began to wake up, and that was why I was his prettiest flower. Every year, without fail, he would make me pancakes from scratch in bed, and he would give me a single red carnation. Just one, because he said I did not need a whole bouquet to be the most beautiful woman in the world. How distant those days felt. This year, I was turning 68. I was not expecting a big celebration. At my age, you no longer look for parties or expensive gifts. I just wanted the basics. For my son to call me, to say happy birthday, Mom, maybe to stop by for a coffee. It was a Saturday. I got up early, as always, and made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table, waiting for the phone to ring. 7 o'clock in the morning, nothing. 8 o'clock, nothing. 9 o'clock, silence. By 10 o'clock, I had cleaned the entire house, just to keep my hands busy. I washed clothes that were not dirty. I swept the patio twice. Anything to keep from thinking that my only son had forgotten me. At 11:30, the phone rang. I ran to answer it like a fool, my heart pounding in my chest. Hello? Eleanor, good morning. This is Chloe. My heart sank. Hi, Chloe. Look, I am calling to invite you to a family dinner tonight. We are celebrating Michael getting a bonus at work. Nothing big, just close family. Can you come at 7? A bonus. Funny how they had money to celebrate bonuses, but not to pay me back what they owed. Sure, I will be there. Perfect. Oh, and if you could bring dessert, that would be ideal. You make those pies so well. She hung up before I could answer. Not one happy birthday. Not one by the way. It is your day, too. Nothing. I stood there with the phone in my hand, feeling something inside me slowly die out, like a candle reaching the end of its wick with no more wax to burn. But I swallowed the pain. I put on my apron and baked a cheesecake with blackberries, Michael's favorite when he was a boy. As I mixed the ingredients, I found myself quietly humming the happy birthday song. I sang it to myself, alone in my empty kitchen, with tears rolling down my cheeks as I mixed the cream cheese. At 7 o'clock sharp, I arrived at their house. I rang the bell, pie in hand. Chloe opened the door. She was wearing an elegant black dress, flawless makeup, high heels, as if it were a gala dinner. Eleanor, how punctual. Come in, come in. I walked in, and the living room was full of people. I recognized Brenda, Chloe's mother, and her brother, Javier, with his wife. Some of Michael's work colleagues were there too. The table was decorated with silver balloons, scented candles, and an expensive floral centerpiece. Michael was at the center of it all, smiling, a glass of wine in his hand. "Mom, you made it. Let me help you with that." He took the pie from my hands and carried it to the kitchen without even opening the box to look at it. I sat in a corner of the living room, in an armchair half hidden behind a plant. No one asked me how I was. No one offered me a glass of wine. It was as if I were part of the furniture. Chloe made a toast. "I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate this achievement of Michael's with us. He has worked so hard, given so much effort, and finally, the company has recognized his value. To my husband, to his success, and to everything that lies ahead." Everyone raised their glasses. Cheers. I did not have a glass. I raised an imaginary one, feeling like an idiot. The dinner was elegant. Chloe had prepared beef medallions with truffled mashed potatoes, a gourmet salad, and artisan bread, all served on fine china that probably cost more than I spent on food in a month. As they ate, the conversation revolved around Michael and Chloe, their plans to remodel the kitchen, their ideas about getting a new car, a possible trip to Europe next year. Europe. With my money still unpaid. Maya was sitting across from me. My granddaughter, 17 years old now, thinner and quieter than ever. At one point, our eyes met. She gave me a sad smile and typed something on her phone. Seconds later, a message came through. "Grandma, happy birthday," I remembered. "I love you." I had to bite my lip to keep from crying right there. I replied with trembling fingers. "Thank you, my sweet girl. You are my light." I put the phone away and looked around. No one else knew. No one else remembered that today was my birthday. Not Michael, not Chloe, not any of the guests who were laughing and toasting. When dinner ended, Chloe brought out a cake. A fancy tres leches cake with raspberries, professionally decorated. "Surprise!" she yelled. Michael stood up, feigning surprise as if he did not know. Everyone sang, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Michael, dear Michael." My son's birthday is in August. It was 5 months away. This was not for him. It was an excuse, another one of Chloe's lies to look good in front of everyone. Michael blew out the candles, and everyone applauded. Chloe kissed him on the lips, dramatically, as if marking territory. I was still sitting in my corner, invisible, my heart in pieces. No one asked me if I wanted cake. At 10 o'clock, I got up to leave. Maya walked me to the door. "Grandma, wait." She pulled a small, gift-wrapped box from her backpack. She handed it to me, her eyes watery. "I could not buy you anything big, but I wanted you to have this." I opened the box. Inside was a hand-woven bracelet with colored beads that spelled out, "I love you, Grandma." All my defenses crumbled. I hugged Maya and cried on her shoulder, not caring who saw me. "Thank you, my sweet girl. You are the only good thing I have left." "Do not say that, Grandma. You are strong, stronger than all of them." I left that house walking slowly, the bracelet on my wrist and my heart shattered. When I got home, I sat in the dark living room. I did not turn on the lights. I just sat there, in silence, listening to the tick-tock of the wall clock Arthur gave me 30 years ago. And then I understood. It was not just that they had forgotten me. It was that I never mattered enough to them to remember. To Chloe, I was a nuisance. To Michael, an obligation. To everyone else, I simply did not exist. But to Maya, I was still someone. I was still worth something. And that was enough for me to make a decision. I was not going to keep begging for love. I was not going to keep waiting for crumbs of attention. I was not going to keep being the shadow in the corner of my own life. I was going to get my dignity back. And if that meant becoming someone they did not recognize, so be it. I took off the bracelet carefully and put it in my dresser, next to Arthur's photos. It was my reminder that there was still genuine love in this world, and also my reminder that it was time to stop giving love to those who did not deserve it. I went to bed that night with a promise. The next birthday they celebrated in that house, I would not be sitting in the corner. I would be standing, with my head held high, and they would be the ones looking down. After that night, something changed in me. It was not sudden, like lightning splitting a tree. It was more subtle, like water seeping into the cracks of a wall and, over time, bringing it down from the inside. I stopped answering the phone every time Michael called. I stopped replying to Chloe's texts immediately. I stopped being available. And believe me, it drove them crazy. The first time Michael called, and I did not answer, he left me 3 voicemails. I listened to all of them, but I did not reply. Mom, are you okay? Answer me. Mom, you are worrying me. Did something happen? Mom, if you do not answer, I am coming over to your house. He did not come. That empty threat confirmed something. His concern was not for me. It was for losing the control they had over me. 2 days later, Chloe showed up at my house unannounced. She rang the doorbell insistently, as if she had some right to demand. I opened it. I was inside, drinking coffee, watching her through the window. I saw her standing there, with her expensive sunglasses and her designer handbag. She waited 5 minutes, then 10. Finally, she left, annoyed. She sent me a text. Eleanor, I came by to visit, and you were not home. I hope you are all right. We were worried. I did not reply. That night, Michael came. This time, I opened the door. Mom, what is wrong with you? Why are not you answering the phone? I looked at him calmly, without the old urgency, without the apologies I used to have ready on the tip of my tongue. I was busy. Busy? Doing what? Living my life, Michael. He fell silent. He did not know how to respond to this version of me, a version that did not apologize for existing. Are you mad about something? I sighed. I am not mad. I am just tired. Tired of what? Of everything. I gave no more explanations. I had learned that the more you explain, the more they ignore you. Words are useless when actions have already spoken. Michael left, confused. I closed the door and felt something strange. Relief. From that day on, my life's rhythm changed. I stopped cooking for them when they visited. If they showed up at lunchtime expecting me to serve them, I simply said, "There is a diner down the street. They have good food." I stopped doing the dishes after family dinners. If Chloe asked me to, I smiled and said, "My hands are not up to it anymore. It is better if you do it. You are younger." I stopped lending them money. The first time Michael asked me for a favor, I looked him in the eye and said quietly, "I do not have it." "What do you mean? You do not have it? You have always helped us." "I cannot anymore." "Why not?" "Because my social security does not stretch that far. You two took what you could take." He turned red with anger, but he said nothing. He could not, because he knew it was true. What they did not know was that I did have money. I had started putting every dollar into a new bank account, one I opened in secret. It was not much, but it was mine, and I was not going to hand it over like charity ever again. I also started documenting everything. I recorded every conversation I had with them on my phone. Maya had taught me how to use the voice recorder app, and I used it without them noticing. It was not out of distrust, it was for survival. I took screenshots of the texts where they asked for money. I saved the bank transfer receipts. I wrote in my notebook the exact dates of every loan, every broken promise, every humiliation disguised as a favor. I was becoming a woman they did not know. A woman who observed instead of pleaded. A woman who listened instead of begged. And it unsettled them. Chloe started complaining to Michael. I did not find out from them. I found out from Maya, who visited me in secret whenever she could. "Grandma," I heard Chloe on the phone with her mom. "She said you are changing, that you are not the same." I laughed. "And that is a bad thing?" "It is for her. She says you are getting difficult." Difficult. What a curious word. When a woman stops being submissive, they call her difficult. When she stops accepting crumbs, they call her complicated. When she finally says no, they call her problematic. Maya, sometimes a woman has to get difficult just to be taken seriously. My granddaughter hugged me. "I like this version of you, Grandma. You are less afraid and more respected." Those words stuck with me. The weeks passed, and my silence began to echo. Michael tried to get close again, but this time with a different strategy. He showed up one Sunday with flowers. "Mom, I brought you these. I know we have been distant." I accepted them without emotion. "Thank you." Are not you going to put them in water? Later? He sat in the living room, uncomfortable. I made coffee, but only 1 cup. For me. Are not you going to offer me any? Do you want some? Yes. I got up and made him one. I gave it to him black, even though he always took it with sugar. I did not do it on purpose. I simply did not remember his preferences anymore. Or maybe I did, but I just did not care about pleasing him. Mom, Chloe told me you have been acting strange. Strange how? Well, distant. Cold. Oh, is that all you are going to say? What do you want me to say, Michael? I do not know. Something. Anything. Lately, I feel like you do not even care about me anymore. Those words should have hurt. Before, they would have devastated me. But now, they only caused a quiet sadness. Michael, when was the last time you called me just to see how I was? Not to ask for money. Not to invite me to something that benefited Chloe. Just to talk to me. He was quiet. Exactly. You do not remember. Because it has not happened. Mom, that is not fair. I have been busy. We are all busy, son. But you always make time for what matters to you. He stood up, annoyed. I do not know what you want from me. Nothing, Michael. I do not want anything from you anymore. He left, slamming the door. I left the flowers he brought on the table. They wilted there, without water, a perfect reminder of his empty effort. Chloe tried another tactic. She sent me a long text, full of nice words. Eleanor, I am so sorry if we have been inconsiderate. You know we love you very much. Michael is very worried about you. We would like things to go back to the way they were before. Before. When I was their emotional and financial ATM, I replied after 3 days. Thank you for the message, Chloe. I am fine. Nothing more. No explanations, no concessions, no easy forgiveness. What they did not understand was that I was not playing a game. I was not throwing a tantrum so they would beg me to stop. I was building something much more important. My freedom. Every day that passed in silence, I felt stronger. As if I were removing invisible chains I had been wearing for years. And while they kept thinking I was just getting old and cranky, as Chloe told Michael one night when I heard them arguing outside my house, I was doing something they never imagined. I was investigating. I had gone to the county recorder's office and requested a copy of my house's deed. I wanted to see exactly what that document said, the one I signed years ago when I still trusted my son completely. And what I discovered left me breathless. There was a clause, a small clause that my late husband, Arthur, had insisted on putting in when we bought the land, long before Michael was even born, a life estate for the surviving spouse. It meant that even though the house was in Michael's name, I had the legal right to live there until I died. No one could kick me out. No one could sell it without my consent. No one. My hands trembled when I read those words. Arthur had protected me from beyond the grave. I put the document in a safe place. And for the first time in months, I truly smiled. Because now I was not just a tired woman keeping silent. I was a woman with a plan. And they had no idea what was coming. Some betrayals come like a slap in the face. Quick, painful, impossible to ignore. But the worst betrayal is the one you discover by accident, the one that comes when you let your guard down, when you still have a tiny piece of hope that things are not as bad as they seem. That betrayal came to me on a Tuesday afternoon. I had gone to the grocery store to buy vegetables. I walked back carrying my bags, tired but calm. When I reached my street, I saw Chloe's car parked out front, and next to it, another car I did not recognize. A gray sedan, old but well kept. I stopped at the corner. Something told me not to go in just yet. I walked slowly, hiding behind the bushes in the front yard. From there, I could see the living room through the window. Chloe was sitting in my armchair, the one Arthur gave me for our 10th anniversary, and across from her was her mother, Brenda, holding a folder. I could not hear them, but I saw them gesturing, pointing at papers, laughing every so often. My blood ran cold. What were they doing in my house without my permission? Chloe had a key. Michael had given it to her for emergencies. But this was not an emergency, it was an invasion. I put my grocery bags on the ground and pulled out my phone. Maya had taught me how to record video through the window without being noticed. I opened the camera app and started recording. I could not hear anything. Damn it. Then I remembered my kitchen window was open. If I could get to the side of the house, maybe I could hear something. I crouched down, feeling my knees protest with every step. I pressed myself against the wall and peeked just around the in corner of the kitchen window, which looked right into the living room. And that is when I heard them. I am telling you, Chloe, this house is easily worth $450,000. The location is excellent. It is near schools, shopping centers, transportation. It is a gem. It was Brenda's voice. I would recognize that smug tone anywhere. I know, Mom, but I cannot do anything as long as the old woman is alive. The old woman. She called me the old woman, Chloe continued. Michael says the house is legally his, but she has a life estate or something. I do not really understand those legal terms, but basically it means we cannot sell it as long as she lives here, and you cannot convince her to move into an assisted living facility or a smaller apartment, something. We tried. She is getting difficult. She used to be more manageable, but lately she is acting strange, like she suspects something. Brenda laughed. A dry, unpleasant laugh. It is just a matter of time, honey. At that age, anything can happen. A slip in the shower, a fall down the stairs, a heart problem. Nature does its work. My breath caught in my throat. Was she suggesting what I thought she was suggesting? Chloe did not laugh, but she did not say no either. Do not say things like that, Mom. But yes, eventually, things will resolve themselves. In the meantime, get everything ready. Find a good real estate agent to give us an updated appraisal. When the time comes, you need to be ready to move fast. I already have one in mind. In fact, he gave me his card last week. Chloe took a card from her purse and showed it to her mother. Perfect. And in the meantime, keep playing the part of concerned children. Do not let anyone suspect a thing. Do not worry. Michael is easy to handle. He does not know about any of this. He thinks we are just planning for the future. Brenda stood up and hugged her daughter. You are smart, Chloe, much smarter than your brother. That is why I know you will come out of this just fine. When we sell this house, Mom, I am taking you on a trip. Anywhere you want. Oh, honey, I cannot wait to see Europe. They both laughed. A horrible sound that cut through me like broken glass. My phone was still recording. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it, but I managed to hold it steady. Chloe and Brenda started gathering their things. I hid behind the trash cans by the side of the house, crouched down like a thief in my own home. I watched them leave, lock the door, get in their cars, and drive away. I waited 5 full minutes before I moved. 5 minutes in which I could not breathe properly, in which I felt the world tilt and everything I knew fall apart. Finally, I went into my house, locked the deadbolt, and slid down to the floor in the entryway. I did not cry. I had no tears left for these people. What I felt was worse than sadness. It was pure, distilled betrayal, concentrated until it burned. Chloe was planning to sell my house. The house that Arthur and I built brick by brick, the house where I raised my son, where I mourned my husband, where I kept every memory of my life. And worse, she was waiting for me to die to do it. As long as the old woman is alive. Those words echoed in my head like a ghoulish refrain. I got up from the floor and walked to my room. I took out the notebook where I tracked what they owed me. I wrote with a shaky hand, April 14th. Chloe and Brenda in my house without permission, planning to sell the house when I die. All recorded. I saved the video in 3 different places: my phone, a USB drive, and the cloud. I was not going to risk losing it. I could not sleep that night. I sat up in bed, staring at the walls, thinking of all the times I had trusted Michael, all the times I had sacrificed for him, all the years I gave him the best of me. And for what? To end up as the old woman who was in the way of a woman who only saw dollar signs where there should have been family? But in the midst of that immense pain, something else was born inside me. Fury. Not the hot fury that makes you scream and break things. No, this was a cold, calculated fury. The fury of a woman who has nothing left to lose because they have already taken everything that mattered. And with that, fury came clarity. I was not going to sit around waiting for nature to do its work, as that viper Brenda had said. I was not going to give them the satisfaction of watching me fall. I was going to stand up. I was going to fight. And when I was done, they were going to understand that they underestimated the wrong woman. The next morning, I called my friend Carol. We had known each other for 30 years. She was a lawyer specializing in family law and estates. If anyone could help me, it was her. Carol, I need your help. And I need it to be confidential. Of course, Ellie. What is wrong? My son is trying to take my house. Well, his wife is. And I need to defend myself. There was a silence on the other end. Come to my office tomorrow and bring every piece of paper you have. I hung up the phone and took a deep breath. This was no longer just about defending my house. It was about defending my entire life. And this time, I was not going to lose. Carol's office was downtown, in an old but dignified building, the kind with original tile floors and wooden stairs that creaked with every step. I climbed them slowly, carrying my bag with all the documents I had gathered. The deed to the house, the transfer receipts, the notebook with my accounts, the USB drive with the recording. Carol greeted me with a long hug. She did not say anything at first, just held me, and that was enough to make me feel I was not completely alone in this. Sit down, Ellie. Tell me everything. And I told her. From the beginning. From the day I signed the papers putting the house in Michael's name, to the conversation I recorded between Chloe and her mother. I left nothing out. Every humiliation, every unpaid loan, every poisoned comment, Carol listened in silence, taking notes. When I finished, she looked at me with a mixture of sadness and restrained anger. Ellie, what they did to you is financial abuse, and what they are planning, that is something else entirely. Can I do anything? Or is it too late? She held out her hand. Let me see the deed. I passed her the document. She read it carefully, line by line, pausing at certain sections, underlining clauses with her finger. After what felt like an eternity, she looked up and smiled. Ellie, Arthur took better care of you than you imagined. What do you mean? This life estate clause is not just decorative. It is ironclad. It means you have the right to use, enjoy, and inhabit this property until your death. Michael may be the owner on paper, but he cannot do anything with the house without your consent. He cannot sell it. He cannot mortgage it. He cannot evict you. Nothing. I felt the air return to my lungs. Really? Really? And there is more. If Michael tries to sell the house without your authorization, that sale would be null and void. Any notary who knows their job would reject the transaction. Your signature is mandatory. But Chloe said they had everything ready, that they were just waiting for me to. I could not finish the sentence. Carol squeezed my hand. They were waiting for you to die, because as long as you are alive, that house is yours in every way but name. I sat quietly, processing. Arthur. My Arthur, who had been gone for years, was still protecting me. So what can I do with this? I asked. Carol leaned back in her chair, thinking. You have several options. First, do nothing and just live peacefully, knowing they are wrong and cannot touch you. I do not want that, I figured. Second option, you can reclaim the property entirely. We can prove that you signed the house over to Michael under false pretenses, that he and his wife have financially abused you. With the evidence you have, a judge could reverse the transfer. Is that possible? Yes. We can file for a revocation of the deed based on undue influence and constructive fraud. And believe me, what they did to you perfectly qualifies. My heart started beating faster. How long would it take? 6 months? Maybe a year. Depends on the court. But with the evidence you have, the transfers, the notebook, the recording you have, a solid case. I want to do it. Carol nodded. We will need to file a formal lawsuit. It is going to be a long process and probably painful. Michael is going to react. He might try to convince you to drop it. I am not dropping it. Good. Then let's get started. We spent the next 2 hours reviewing every document, preparing the file. Carol took photos of the receipts, transcribed the dates from the notebook, and made copies of the video. This recording is pure gold, Ellie. It shows premeditation, bad faith, and even potential conspiracy. A judge is going to see this and be ashamed for them. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. And in the meantime? Do I have to keep seeing Michael? Pretend I know nothing? That is up to you. But my advice? Do not show your cards yet. The less they know, the better. Go on with your normal life. Do not give them any clues about what you are doing. And when the time comes to serve the lawsuit, let it be a total surprise. I can do that. One more thing, Ellie. You need to be emotionally prepared. This is going to break what is left of your relationship with Michael. It might never recover. I fell silent, feeling the weight of those words. Carol, that relationship is already broken. I am just making official what they started years ago. I left Carol's office with a folder full of documents and a clear plan. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control. The next few days were strange. I followed my routine as always, but everything felt different. Every time I looked at my house, I no longer saw just walls and a roof. I saw proof that Arthur loved me enough to protect me even after he was gone. Michael called one afternoon. "Mom, how are you? We have not talked in days." "Fine, Som." "Busy." "Busy with what?" "My own things." There was an uncomfortable silence. "Chloe wants to invite you to dinner this Saturday." "Ah, of course." "Chloe, wanting to keep up appearances." "I cannot. I have plans." "Plans? With who?" "With a friend." "What friend?" The insistence irritated me. "Michael, I am 68 years old. I do not have to explain my life to you." Another silence. "Okay, Mom, we just worry about you." "Do not worry so much. I am perfectly fine." I hung up before he could say more. That Saturday, instead of going to dinner with them, I went to the movies by myself. I saw a comedy I did not really understand, but it made me laugh. I ate popcorn with extra butter and drank a large soda. I felt free. When I left the theater, I had 3 missed calls from Chloe. I did not return them. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. There was something different in my face. That permanent sadness, that resignation I had carried for years, was gone. Now, there was determination. Arthur looked at me from the photo on my dresser. "My love," I said quietly, "thank you for taking care of me. Now let me finish what we started together." I put all the documents in a safe place, inside the metal box hidden in the closet, behind the old blankets. No one would look for it there. Carol told me the lawsuit would be ready in 2 weeks. 2 weeks to prepare myself mentally. 2 weeks to be sure I was making the right decision. And every day that passed, I was more certain. Because this was no longer just about getting a house back. It was about getting myself back. The woman I was before I became invisible. The woman Arthur loved. The woman who deserved respect, not for what she could give, but simply for existing. And that woman was ready to fight. 2 weeks. That is how long it took Carol to prepare all the legal documentation. 2 weeks in which I felt like a soldier waiting for battle. Nervous, yes, but also strangely calm. Like when you know you are about to do the right thing, even if it hurts. During those days, Chloe intensified her attempts to get close. She called me every 2 days with absurd excuses. "Eleanor, did you see the price of gas went up? It is terrible, is not it? Eleanor, I found a recipe I want to make for you. Can I stop by tomorrow? Eleanor, Michael asked me to invite you to the movies this weekend." To everything, I said no with simple excuses. "Thank you, but I cannot. I am busy. Maybe another time." And then came the invitation I could not refuse without raising suspicion. One Wednesday afternoon, Michael showed up at my house. He was not alone. He had Maya with him. "Mom, we need to talk." My granddaughter looked at me with pleading eyes. Something was not right. "Come in." They sat in the living room. Michael seemed uncomfortable. Maya kept her eyes down. "Mom, Chloe and I have been talking. We feel like you have been distant lately, and we want to fix it." I crossed my arms. "Fix what?" "Things between us. The relationship. Chloe is hosting a family dinner this Saturday. Her mom will be there, her brother, us, Maya. And we want you to be there." "What for?" "To celebrate. To be together. To be a family again." "Celebrate." What an empty word coming from him. "I do not know, Michael." I have been tired lately. Maya spoke for the first time. Grandma, please go. For me. I looked at her. There was something in her eyes. A silent warning, as if she wanted to tell me something but could not with Michael present. All right. I will go. Michael smiled, relieved. Perfect. It is at 7. And Mom, please, come with a good attitude. Chloe really wants this to work. They left soon after, but Maya sent me a text as soon as they were out of the house. Grandma, be careful. I heard Chloe talking to her mom. They are going to announce something at the dinner. I do not know what it is, but I do not like it. Keep your eyes open. My skin prickled. So, this was a trap, not a reconciliation, an ambush. I replied, Thank you, my sweet girl. Do not worry. I know how to take care of myself. I called Carol immediately. Carol, they are going to try something. I can feel it. They have organized a dinner, and I think they are going to pressure me to sign something or agree to something. What do you want to do? I want to go, but I want to be prepared. Then take your phone, make sure it is recording, and do not sign absolutely anything. Do you hear me? Nothing. Even if they threaten you, even if they beg you, nothing. Understood. Saturday arrived faster than I expected. I got ready with care. I did not dress like the submissive grandmother they knew. I put on a navy blue dress, discreet but elegant. I put on a little makeup. I did my hair, and I slipped my phone into the side pocket of the dress, with the recorder already running. If they were going to try something, I was going to have proof. I arrived at 7 o'clock sharp. I rang the bell, and Chloe opened it with a smile that was too big, too fake. Eleanor, so glad you could come. Come in, come in. The house was decorated for a special occasion. Scented candles, soft music playing, the table set with a fine tablecloth and crystal glasses. Brenda was already there, sitting in the main armchair as if she owned the place. She greeted me with a kiss on the cheek that smelled like expensive perfume and phoniness. Eleanor, you look lovely. That dress is beautiful on you. Thank you. Michael was in the kitchen fixing drinks. Maya gave me a discreet signal to sit next to her. Javier, Chloe's brother, arrived soon after with his wife, Patricia. Fake greetings, fake hugs, forced laughter. When everyone was seated, Chloe brought out a tray with glasses of wine. Before we eat, I want to make a toast. Everyone raised their glasses. I took mine, but did not lift it. Chloe began. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. This family means everything to us, and that is why Michael and I have made an important decision. I looked at Michael. He was watching Chloe with adoration, unaware he was being used like a puppet. As you all know, Eleanor lives in a very big house. It is too big for one person alone, and we have been worried about her safety, her well-being. Here it comes. So, we have found a wonderful solution. We have found a wonderful assisted living facility nearby. It is very nice, very comfortable. It has nurses, activities, company, and we think it would be perfect for Eleanor. The silence in the room was heavy as an anvil. An assisted living facility? I asked, my voice calm. Yes, Eleanor. A place where you would be cared for, where you would not have to worry about maintaining such a big house, where you could rest. And my house? Chloe exchanged a look with her mother. Well, the house would be available. Michael and I are thinking of moving in there. It has more space, and with Maya getting older, we need more room. There it was. The real plan. Get me out and take my house. I see. We brought the brochures for the facility. Look, it has gardens, a game room, everything. Chloe handed me a folder full of papers. I took it and glanced at it, not really reading. My phone was still recording every word. It looks nice, I said, without emotion. Right? And the best part is, we can help you with the monthly fees. At first. Anyway. Eventually, you would have to use your Social Security, but it is enough. Brenda chimed in. Eleanor, believe me, this is for the best. At your age, one needs care, and that house is such a heavy burden. I looked around the table. Everyone was watching me, as if expecting me to break, to accept, to sign my surrender. Everyone except Maya, who had tears in her eyes. I took a deep breath. And then I did something no one expected. I smiled. It is an interesting proposal, Chloe. Very well thought out. She beamed, believing she had won. I am glad you see it that way, but I have a better idea. Her smile faltered. I took out my phone and placed it on the table. The recorder light was still on. How about, instead of that, we make a toast to honesty? Honesty? Michael asked, confused. Yes. For example, the honesty of telling the truth instead of disguising things with pretty words. Chloe turned pale. Eleanor, I do not understand. Of course you understand, Chloe. This is not about my well-being. It is because you want my house. You have wanted it since the day you met Michael. Mom, what are you talking about? Michael looked at me like I had lost my mind. I picked up my phone and found the saved video, the one I recorded weeks ago. I am talking about this. I pressed play. Brenda's voice filled the dining room. This house is easily worth $450,000. Then Chloe's. I cannot do anything as long as the old woman is alive. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael stared at the phone as if it were a bomb. Chloe was rigid, her face a mask of horror. Brenda tried to stand up, but her legs did not seem to respond. You recorded that in my house, Chloe said, her voice trembling. In my house, dear. The house that is still legally mine because I hold a life estate. Or did you think I would not read the papers? Michael looked at me. Mom, what does this mean? It means, son, that your wife has been planning to take my house, that she has used me, that she has used you, and that she has been patiently waiting for me to die so she can sell what your father and I built. That is not, Chloe started. It is not what? Not true? It is recorded in your own voice with your exact words. I stood up. Everyone looked at me as if I were a different person, and maybe I was. I am not going to any facility. I am not leaving my house, and I am not going to continue being the shadow you all want me to be. I looked Michael directly in the eyes. Son, I gave you everything. I gave you my entire life, and you let this woman turn me into a burden. Mom, I did not know. You should have known. You should have defended me. But you chose to believe her instead of seeing me. I grabbed my purse and walked to the door. Maya ran after me. Grandma, wait. I stopped and hugged her. I am okay, my love. For the first time, I am okay. I walked out of that house with my head held high, and as I walked under the night sky, I felt something I had not felt in years. Freedom. The days after that dinner were a silent chaos. Michael called me 37 times. I counted every one. I did not answer any of them. Chloe sent long, desperate texts, full of explanations I was no longer interested in. Eleanor, things were misunderstood. I never meant to hurt you. I was just speaking hypothetically with my mother. Hypothetically. As if planning to take my house was a theoretical exercise. I did not reply. Brenda, with her characteristic nerve, tried calling me to clear things up. I blocked her number. I sent one text, and one text only. To Carol. I am ready. File the lawsuit. 2 days later, Michael received the official summons. A lawsuit for revocation of the deed based on undue influence and constructive fraud. Signed by me, backed by Carol, with all the evidence attached. The unpaid bank transfers. The notebook with detailed accounts. The audio and video recordings. Testimonies from neighbors who had seen how I was treated. Michael came to my house in a rage. He banged on the door as if he meant to break it down. I opened it calmly. I was expecting him. What is this, Mom? He yelled, waving the lawsuit papers. You are suing me? That is right. I am your son, and I am your mother. But it seems neither of us remembered that in time. Mom, this is a misunderstanding. Chloe was just. Michael, I interrupted him, my voice firm. Do not come here to defend her. Not after everything. I had patience. I had hope. But it is over. And you are going to destroy your own family over this? Those words would have shattered me months ago. Now, they only gave me clarity. I did not destroy anything, Michael. You two did. I am just picking up the pieces. Mom, please, we can fix this. Drop the lawsuit. Let's talk like a family. There is nothing left to talk about. My lawyer will handle the rest. He tried to push past me into the house, but I stood my ground in the doorway. Michael, If you come in without my permission, I will call the police." He froze. I think in that moment he finally understood that I was serious. "I cannot believe you are doing this to me. I could not believe you did it to me, either. And yet, here we are." He left, the papers crumpled in his fist, muttering things I could not hear. I did not care. I closed the door and took a deep breath. The first step was taken. There was no going back. The following weeks were a legal blur. Hearings, depositions, document reviews. Carol handled everything with surgical precision. Every piece of evidence we presented was another blow to Michael and Chloe's case. In one of the hearings, the judge asked to hear the full recording. Chloe was present, dressed as if for a business meeting, trying to look serious and respectable. When her voice filled the courtroom saying, "As long as the old woman is alive," I saw her shrink in her seat. The judge looked at her with a mixture of disdain and disappointment. "Ma'am, are these your words?" I was upset that day. I did not mean it." "So, it is your voice?" "Yes, but that is enough." Next, he reviewed the bank receipts. $6,200 loaned, $0 repaid. "Mr. Grant, do you have an explanation for why you have not repaid the money your mother lent you?" Michael stammered. "We were having financial troubles, Your Honor." "And the trip to Cancun was also a financial trouble?" Silence. The judge closed the folder with a sharp rap. "I will issue my ruling in 2 weeks." Those 2 weeks were eternal. But they were also liberating. For the first time in years, I slept soundly. I was not waiting for calls. I was not expecting anything from anyone. Maya visited me every few days. She told me the tension at her house was thick. Chloe and Michael were fighting constantly. She blamed him for not handling his mother better. He blamed her for causing the whole disaster. "Grandma, do you think Dad will change?" "I do not know, my love. But it is not my responsibility to save him anymore. What if he loses the house? Then he will learn something he should have learned a long time ago, that actions have consequences." The day of the ruling arrived. Carol and I got to the courthouse early. Michael and Chloe arrived 15 minutes late, looking disheveled, clearly having had another fight. The judge entered. We all rose. "I have reviewed this case carefully. The evidence is overwhelming. Mrs. Eleanor Grant transferred the property to her son under the good faith understanding that she could live there for the rest of her life without being disturbed. However, Mr. Michael Grant and his wife, Mrs. Chloe Simmons, have demonstrated a clear pattern of financial abuse, emotional manipulation, and premeditated planning to strip Mrs. Grant of her right to use and enjoy the property." Michael hung his head. Chloe remained rigid, her jaw tight. Based on the established precedent regarding undue influence and constructive fraud, this court rules that the deed is revoked. The property will be fully restored to Mrs. Eleanor Grant's name. Gavel bang. Furthermore, Mr. Michael Grant must repay the sum of $6,200 to his mother, in monthly installments of $500 until the debt is settled. Failure to make these payments will result in wage garnishment. Gavel bang. It was over. Carol squeezed my hand. I could only breathe, feeling the weight of years lift off my shoulders. Michael and Chloe left the courtroom without looking at me. I watched them walk away. 2 defeated figures who had bet everything on a lie and lost. I did not feel triumphant. I felt peace. Outside the courthouse, Carol hugged me. "You did it, Ellie. We did it. What are you going to do now?" I looked up at the sky. It was a clear day, with fluffy clouds that looked like they were painted on. "I am going to live, Carol. For the first time in a long time, I am going to live without being afraid." That afternoon, I returned to my house. My house. With my name on the deed, my rights restored, my dignity intact. I sat on the living room sofa, the one Arthur had given me, and I cried, but not from sadness, from relief. The following months were about healing. Michael started making the payments. We did not talk, but the money arrived on time every month. It was his way of saying he understood. Chloe, as Maya told me, had filed for divorce. She could not stand the humiliation of losing, of everyone knowing who she really was. She left Michael's apartment and moved back in with her mother. Michael was alone, and according to Maya, it was the best thing that could have happened to him. He is going to therapy, Grandma. He says he needs to understand how he got to this point. I am glad he is getting help. Would you ever forgive him? I thought for a moment. I do not know, Maya, but I do know that I am no longer carrying his guilt. That is his to carry, and he has to learn to live with it. One Saturday, 6 months after the ruling, someone knocked on my door. It was Michael. He was alone, without Chloe, without excuses. He was holding flowers, red carnations. "Mom, can I come in?" I looked at him for a long moment. I no longer saw the son who had betrayed me. I saw a broken man, trying to find his way back. "You can come in, but only if you are here to talk. Not to ask, not to justify, to talk." "I just want to talk, Mom. I promise." I opened the door. I do not know if we will ever be what we were. Probably not. But maybe we can be something new, something more honest. I made coffee, 2 cups, with sugar, just how he liked it, and for the first time in years we talked, really talked. A year has passed since that ruling. My house is still mine. My days are quiet, filled with small joys I never noticed before. The coffee in the morning, chats with my neighbors, Maya's visits every Sunday. Michael and I have a cordial relationship. It is not what it was, but it is real. We do not pretend anymore. We do not lie to each other. And that, even if it hurts, is better than the lie we were living. Maya visits me religiously. She says she wants to learn from me, that I taught her to never forget who she is. One Sunday, as we were drinking tea in the backyard, she asked me, "Grandma, how did you know it was time to fight?" When I understood I had nothing left to lose, my sweet girl, when I realized that the worst loneliness is not being alone, but being surrounded by people who make you feel invisible. And you do not regret it? Facing them? Suing Dad? Regret it? I smiled. "Maya, I regret many things. I regret staying quiet for so long. I regret accepting crumbs when I deserved respect. I regret forgetting who I was before I became just mom or mother-in-law. But I will never, ever regret reclaiming my dignity." Maya hugged me. "When I grow up, I want to be just like you. I want you to be better than me. I want you to not have to wait until you are 68 years old to learn that your worth does not depend on how much you give, but on how much you respect yourself." We sat in silence, watching the sun set behind the trees. And in that silence, I finally found what I had been looking for my whole life. Peace. Not the peace that comes from everything being perfect. The peace that comes from knowing you did the right thing, even when it hurt. That night, before bed, I stood in front of Arthur's photo. I did it, my love. I defended our home. I defended what we built. And I swear, I felt his presence, like an invisible hug, reminding me that I was never really alone. Because true love does not just protect you when it is present, it protects you forever. I closed my eyes and slept soundly, in my house, in my bed, in my life. Finally free. Because true wealth is not in what you own, but in what you refuse to let anyone take from you. Your dignity, your peace, and your right to exist without asking permission. If this story touched your heart, if it made you feel that you are not alone in your battles, leave me a comment telling me where you are watching from. Give it a like if you believe we all deserve a second chance to find our voice. And subscribe to the channel to keep sharing stories of brave women who decided that enough was enough. Because sometimes, justice does not arrive shouting. It arrives silently, with signed papers and your head held high. Until the next story. And remember, it is never too late to take back what is yours.